We are all moved in and cozied up in the RV. For those who don't know, we recently sold our house and we are temporarily staying in our RV until we find an agriculturally zoned piece of land, most likely near or in Marion County. And throughout this move, I've been uploading photos of the process, and one of my viewers, Mary, thank you, Mary, suggested that I take some cuttings of some of my fruit trees because it was proving to be a little difficult to move the mulberry tree or to uproot it from the ground and place it into a container. During this move, 90% of our plants did move with us. And so she did suggest taking some cuttings, and that's exactly what I did. So I want to show you what that looks like, as well as give you a little update on some of the fruiting plants that we have here. And at the end of the video, I will show a clip of some sourdough bagels that I attempted to make for the very first time, and they came out so ridiculously delicious. So I'll share that with you as well. This is the mulberry tree that was potted up, and she seems to still be sprouting new growth. But in case this didn't survive, we went ahead and took some cuttings. Now, I took about 5 or 6 cuttings. I cut both thicker branches and thinner branches to see how they both do. Now, it's my understanding that the thicker the branch, if it actually roots, the bigger, stronger, healthier the tree. So I did both just in case. And here's what I did with them. These are my cuttings, and what I did was I took the bottom part of each of these and I dipped it in raw honey. Now, I know that there's a lot of information out there about boiling water and adding honey to that boiling water, but in my research, I understand that when you boil that water, you kill a lot of the beneficial properties that are in the honey. That high heat just basically kills that off. So what I did was I dug a little deeper, and I went ahead and chose to do the straight up raw honey method, where you just dip it in raw honey. And I also added some organic cinnamon powder to that honey as well. So I mixed it up, dipped the bottom parts of these cuttings into the honey, and then stuck them right here in this soil. This is loose soil, has a little bit of compost in it, and it's been about 4 days, maybe 5 days, and I'm starting to see new shoots here, new sprouts. Now, that could be because there was already, some life in this when I took the cuttings, but what we really want is we want for these cuttings to start rooting themselves, and eventually they will become their own little mulberry trees. So that's the goal. In case the larger mother plant didn't make it or didn't survive the uprooting and potting up, I went ahead and took some cuttings here as a backup, but also to multiply the trees that we already have. So that was another plus. Here are half of the plants. And I've got some blueberry bushes here that were flowering during one of my latest updates on fruit plants that I am growing here on my Central Florida property. I'll link the video in the description box so you can check that out if you haven't already. So once the flowers fall off, the little blueberry heads start to develop. And they're still green right now. They need some time to ripen up and turn their gorgeous silvery blue. These flowers are also on their way out. Now, this one here blooms a lot quicker and fruits faster than this one, and that's something that I knew when I purchased both of these, and it has proven to be true. A lot of these flowers are still dying off, and then the ones that have already died off a couple of weeks ago, you can see here that the heads are already starting to form the little fruits. So this one's got a way to go, but this one has more flowers, more fruit on it. So while this one does bloom a little early, this one will provide more fruit. Now check this out. I initially purchased this Nantahala raspberry for their leaves because I was interested in using their leaves for raspberry leaf teas. And I honestly didn't have high expectations for fruit production. It's just not something that a lot of us out here in Florida typically grow just because of how crazy our climate and weather is. But these do really well here, and they have already started fruiting. In my last update, I did show where most of them looked like this. They were in their very beginning stages. But I've got so many here that, well, I wouldn't say so many, but I have several that have already ripened. This one's ready to go. Here's the back. Some more plants. I have some baby papayas that may or may not make it this winter. We shall see. And here's the other side. Now, my Barbados or acerola cherry tree is struggling a little bit. It was recently uprooted from the ground and placed into this container, and it seems to be struggling a bit, but I have high hopes. The last time that I transplanted this, when it was smaller, same thing happened, but it did recover, so I'm hoping that she recovers. I'll take really good care of her during the winter months and make sure that she's protected from the frost. That's really sweet. I came across this sourdough bagel recipe from a YouTuber, and her channel name is Farmhouse on Boone. These are by far the best bagels that I've ever had, even better than the bakeries. The topping is a little heavy, but that's just my preference. I made everything bagels and two that have a coconut sugar cinnamon topping. The tops are a little lighter than I'd like, and that's because I baked them in the oven in the RV. And if anyone's ever baked in one of those, you know that you have to place the rack at the very top. Otherwise, you risk burning the bottoms of anything that you put in there. But they turned out delicious regardless.